right, black and white sports supporters. Well, the Caitlin Clark stimulus package is already paying dividends for WNBA players around the league. They cannot sign their contracts yet. The new CBA has to be ratified, but the Las Vegas Aces are the first ones to fire a shot. A team owned by Mark Davis, who owns the Las Vegas Raiders. Also, Tom Brady is a minority owner in the Las Vegas Aces, and it looks like...
Let's talk about something nobody wants to admit out loud. A'ja Wilson just secured a historic $1.4 million Supermax contract with the Las Vegas Aces. First WNBA player to ever hit that number. Groundbreaking moment for the league, right? Except there's one uncomfortable truth hanging over this entire celebration. She wouldn't be getting that money without Caitlin Clark. The Las Vegas Review-Journal broke the story on Wednesday. After 8 days of marathon negotiations in New York, the WNBA and the Players Union finally shook hands on a new collective bargaining agreement. And the Aces wasted zero time making sure everyone knew A'ja Wilson would be their Supermax player. Mark Davis, who owns both the Las Vegas Raiders and the Aces, along with minority owner Tom Brady, they're ready to pay up. But here's what makes this fascinating.
She ought to give like 30% of this to Caitlin Clark. I'm just keeping it real. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, and it was like the old fandom is mad that Caitlin Clark won the MVP for USA Basketball. And I was like, do they not really get that the new fandom sort of outnumbers the old fandom like 4-1? They're in the minority. They're 400,000 fans before 2 years ago knew who A'ja Wilson was. All right, a lot more fans now know who this player is. I'm just keeping it real. I know that'll make some people mad. I don't care. Truth hurts sometimes.
400,000 fans. That's how many people were following the WNBA closely before Caitlin Clark entered the league 2 years ago. Now compare that to the millions who tuned in last season. The old fandom is furious that Clark won the USA Basketball MVP award. They're calling it unfair, saying it disrespects the veterans. But they're missing the math here. The new fandom outnumbers them 4-1. Maybe more. This isn't about disrespect. This is about reality. The league just signed a $2.2 billion media rights deal. Attendance shattered records across the board. Merchandise sales exploded. And the salary cap is jumping from $1.5 million to $7 million under the new CBA. None of that happens without the Caitlin Clark effect. The numbers don't lie.
On the historic new WNBA Supermax, salary of $1.4 million as soon as possible. Sources told the Review-Journal on Wednesday. The news comes after 8 days of marathon negotiations in New York, culminating earlier Wednesday in a handshake deal between the WNBA and its players' union on terms of a new collective bargaining agreement. Wilson is a free agent this offseason, along with 80% of the league, which was holding out for increased salaries players fought for in the new agreement. Free agency was delayed because of the negotiations and will begin once the CBA is ratified.
Here's where it gets uncomfortable. A'ja Wilson made $200,000 per year on her last contract extension in 2023. She wasn't even in the top 25 highest-paid players last season. Jackie Young, her own teammate, made the 2025 Supermax of $249,000. So did Alyssa Clark and Kelsey Plum, the league's four-time MVP, the only player to win scoring title, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Finals MVP in one season, was making less than 25 other players. That's not a knock on Wilson's talent. She's led the Aces to 3 championships in 4 seasons. She took team-friendly deals to help construct winning rosters. But the old salary cap made that sacrifice necessary. The new cap makes it obsolete, and the only reason that new cap exists is because Caitlin Clark walked into this league and changed everything about its economic model overnight.
I mean, the NBA is its own deal. What are we doing? I mean, come on, let's keep it real here. Aces coach Becky Hammon, who made $25,000 in her rookie contract as a WNBA player, became the league's first $1 million coach in 2022. The Aces will make Wilson a $1 million player to show appreciation for sacrifices she's made to ensure the team's success, sources said. You may be wondering why Becky Hammon was making that kind of money, or is. It's because you had NBA teams, I kid you not, that was ready to hire her as a head coach in the NBA. So they had to pay up.
Remember the controversy from last season? When Caitlin Clark arrived in the WNBA, suddenly we're hearing about race and marketability. Black players aren't marketable because of their race. That was the narrative some players pushed. A'ja Wilson was part of those conversations. She made it clear she couldn't stand the attention Clark was getting. The sponsor money, the marketing deals, the media coverage. And look, we all knew who she was talking about. When you're bringing up black versus white marketability, the exact moment a white rookie is dominating headlines, you're not being subtle. She's doubled down on those comments since then. But now she's the direct beneficiary of everything that rookie brought to the league. The irony is almost painful.
Man, it sure is funny, isn't it? The player that caused all kind of trouble when Caitlin Clark showed up in the league. Oh, race. We're not marketable because we're black women. Blah, 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 blah. Anybody remember that fiasco? By the way, that she's doubled down on again? You benefited from the biggest women's sports player in the world walking into your league. You got a $2.2 billion media rights deal. And now because of that player that everybody knows you blatantly cannot stand, because, yeah, when you know Caitlin Clark's walking in the league and you're bringing up black versus white, because Caitlin's got all that sponsor money coming in, marketing money coming in.
Becky Hammon makes $1 million a year as the Aces head coach. She became the league's first $1 million coach in 2022. You know why? Because NBA teams were legitimately ready to hire her as a head coach. Mark Davis had to pay up to keep her in Las Vegas. The market dictated her value. That's how this works. Now apply that same logic to A'ja Wilson's new contract. The market didn't suddenly decide WNBA players are worth more money because of A'ja Wilson's resume. Her resume was identical last year when she made $200,000. What changed? Caitlin Clark changed. The revenue changed. The media rights deal changed. The entire economic foundation of the league changed because one player walked through the door and brought millions of new fans with her.
So now you're going to benefit off of that. Get you a nice little, over $1 million raise. You sure you shouldn't shave off about 30% of that? Send it over to Indiana this season? I'm just throwing it out there. I know A'ja fans will be furious. I don't care. I speak the truth on this channel. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm on live streams during games. And every time A'ja Wilson's commercial comes on and everybody's dancing on it, the whole live stream is like, ugh. Can we please get this commercial to end? A'ja Wilson's fans just hit the thumbs down button. Okay. Comfortable with that, I promise you. Truth hurts sometimes, I reckon.
Here's the part that sticks with me. During live streams of games last season, every time A'ja Wilson's commercial came on, you know the one where everyone's dancing, the entire chat would erupt. Not with excitement, with groans. People begging for the commercial to end. That's not what you want from your marketing campaign. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's jersey sales broke records. Her games averaged 3.2 million viewers on ESPN. The Indiana Fever went from playing in half-empty arenas to selling out every single game. Road attendance doubled when she came to town. That's not just star power. That's economic transformation. And everyone in the league is cashing in on it whether they want to admit it or not.
Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. A'ja Wilson and the rest of these players riding the back of one person to a whole lot more money already. We don't even know what the Supermax is going to look like in that 5th or 6th year. My gut feeling is it'll be somewhere around, I would guess, around $2 or $2.2 million a year. I haven't seen the number yet. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till Until next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
So here's the question nobody wants to answer. Should A'ja Wilson send 30% of that $1.4 million contract to Indiana? I'm not joking. Think about the timeline here. Before Caitlin Clark enters the league, A'ja Wilson is making $200,000 despite being a 4-time MVP and 3-time champion. The salary cap is stuck at $1.5 million total for entire rosters. Free agency is a joke because nobody can afford to pay players what they're worth. The WNBA is averaging maybe 400,000 dedicated fans and struggling to get national media attention outside of the playoffs. Then Caitlin Clark shows up. Suddenly the league is negotiating a $2.2 billion media rights deal. Suddenly the salary cap is jumping to $7 million. Suddenly A'ja Wilson is about to make $1.4 million per year. That's a 700% raise. And it's happening because the entire economic model of the league got flipped upside down by one player's arrival. The uncomfortable truth is that A'ja Wilson's new contract exists because Caitlin Clark brought enough attention and revenue to the WNBA to make it possible. The league couldn't afford to pay Wilson what she's worth under the old system. Now they can. And the only thing that changed between then and now is Caitlin Clark. This isn't about taking anything away from A'ja Wilson's accomplishments. She's earned every accolade. She's one of the most dominant players in WNBA history. But earning something and being able to get paid for it are two different things. You can be the best player in a league that can't afford to pay you properly. That was Wilson's reality, until Clark changed the economics. And that's what makes the whole situation so awkward, because A'ja Wilson was one of the loudest voices complaining about Caitlin Clark's attention last season. She was pushing narratives about race and marketability, while Clark was bringing in the exact revenue that would eventually fund Wilson's massive contract. She couldn't stand the spotlight being on someone else. But that spotlight brought the money that's now going into her bank account. The Supermax contract will keep growing too. By year 5 or 6, it'll probably hit $2 to $2.2 million annually. That's generational wealth for WNBA players. It's life-changing money. And every single player who signs one of those deals owes a debt to the player who made it economically viable for the league to offer those contracts in the first place. Look at the timing. The WNBA and the Players Union just spent 8 days in marathon negotiations. They finally agreed on a new CBA that increases the salary cap from $1.5 million to $7 million. That's not happening without the revenue surge from last season. And that revenue surge doesn't happen without Caitlin Clark averaging those 3.2 million viewers and selling out arenas across the country. A'ja Wilson will be the first Supermax player, but she won't be the last. Other stars are going to sign similar deals, and every single one of them is going to cash checks that exist because Caitlin Clark fundamentally changed what the WNBA is worth to media companies and sponsors. That's just the reality of the situation. So when I say A'ja Wilson should send 30% of that contract to Caitlin Clark, I'm being provocative. But I'm also making a serious point. The money wouldn't exist without Clark's impact. The salary cap wouldn't have jumped without the new media rights deal. And that media rights deal doesn't happen without the ratings and attention Clark brought to the league. This is the Caitlin Clark stimulus package paying dividends. Every player in the WNBA is riding that wave whether they want to acknowledge it or not. Some will be gracious about it. Others will pretend it's not happening. But the numbers tell the story. And the story is clear. One player changed everything, and everyone else is benefiting from it.